Hi guys, how's it going? My name is Noah with the Don Heller Group. I'm joined today with Don Heller, and we're going to be going over what we would recommend in order to remodel a front yard that was submitted to us over a Facebook group from someone who we will name Wendy. So what we have today is the first part of a series that we're going to be doing about people are going to be sending us properties that they have that they're interested in doing a remodel or a slight change to. Since Don is not only a real estate agent, but also a developer himself, we're going to be going over, around what that would cost, what we would recommend they do. And yeah, it's going to be a fun episode. So stay tuned and check it out. So what we did was we collected 4 separate photos from, we'll call her Wendy from Westlake. And what we're going to be doing is taking a look at these photos and giving our recommendations on them. So the first photo here is a photo of the driveway to the property. We're going to be focusing on the exterior in the front and giving our take on, what we'd recommend they do. So Don, after looking at the first photo here, any thoughts come to mind on redoing the driveway?
Yes, Noah. Wendy indicated when she emailed you the photos that not only does she want the driveway done, but when she does the driveway, they'd like to consider redoing their sewer line. And that's a very smart thing. You can see by the signs in the driveway of the cracking that it could result from a number of different things. It could result from tree roots that have grown under the driveway. It could result from maybe a less than ideal construction initially and not enough depth of concrete or not enough rebar to strengthen the concrete. But if she's going to tackle that driveway, then she wants to do the sewer line at that same moment in time. And with that, the first thing obviously will be demolishing the driveway. So most of your concrete contractors or your quote unquote driveway contractors that may use paving solutions, they're all going to come in, they're going to do the demo first. And in this case, once she does her demo, she's not going to want to do anything except replace that sewer line because she's going to have to dig underneath in the earth underneath the driveway and, remove the old sewer line, and install a new sewer line, and then refill the trench and recompact, and then it's ready for the preparation of whatever she's going to put on top of the driveway. The cost of a sewer line, and again, I don't have exact dimensions from Wendy, but the sewer line cost could be anywhere in the neighborhood of $3,000 to $5,000 from my viewpoint, and so but it's a very smart time to do it. And the home, I don't know exactly the date of the home, but it looks like it might be a 70s, 80s vintage home. Very likely that the sewer line has had some issues and it's time to replace it. So that would be $3,000 to $5,000 very well spent. When it comes to ultimately resurfacing or creating a new driveway, you have numerous options that you could go to. The most standard option would be just a plain concrete driveway. And those could run, and I'm not going to give a total dollar value for Wendy because I don't know the dimensions, but a concrete driveway could run non-stamped around $7 to $8 a foot. And if you start putting some kind of a design in it, stamping it, doing a brush finish, things like that, that could add to the cost. So you could go from $8 to as much as $10 a foot for a concrete driveway. The good news with that is it's one of your lesser expensive options, and I'm not suggesting that it's inexpensive because it isn't. Most likely it's going to cost well more than the sewer line, but it can be a beautiful, inexpensive, lesser expensive driveway finish. The disadvantage, even when it's built correctly, is that if you have new true new tree roots that grow under the driveway again, it could heave the driveway and therefore crack it. So another option would be to use pavers. And the nice thing about pavers is the fact that if tree roots grow under and they heave the pavers, you just lift the pavers that got heaved, you dig out the tree roots there, replace the pavers that you removed, and it looks like it's never been disturbed.
Much more simple fix.
Much more simple. That's the good news.
We're waiting for the bad news.
Well, the less than ideal news is that it's about double the cost.
Oh, okay. That'll do it, yeah.
Of a concrete driveway. So, at this point, I'd probably like to digress a minute and just talk about where you want to spend your money or where you don't want to spend your money. And everyone's going to make a decision to spend or not spend money based on different criteria. So, I try to break it down very simply this way. If I'm going to live in the home for 5 to 10 years, I might see if there's a way that I could gather the funds to put in pavers. Because when I go to sell that home in 5 to 10 years, I have a beautiful driveway and I haven't spent whatever thousands of dollars to put the concrete driveway in, that now all of a sudden people come and they see the same old cracked driveway. Mm-hmm. But if I'm not certain or feel fairly certain that I'm not going to be there for 5 years, then that would weigh into my decision on into how much I want to spend. The cost of the sewer line is the cost of the sewer line, so there's no saving money there.
Mm-hmm. And would you say that in terms of the concrete driveway that if someone did that versus doing the pavers, they might end up spending in that 5 to 10 year time period almost the same that they would have in terms of repairing it?
Repairing it, no, but having it look at a level, at an aesthetic level that they want, yes, because effectively with cracking on the driveway, the simple fix is to try to seal the cracks or fill the cracks. They still look like filled or sealed cracks.
Yeah.
And typically they're very irregular, and yet they're not frequent enough to make it look meaningful or purposeful. Mm-hmm. So I think really it comes down to always first and foremost how much money you have to invest, how much money you want to invest, and then how much money you should invest based on what your occupancy timeline is.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Perfect. And then we'll go to photo number 2. So that was this one here with the
tree roots.
The tree roots. Okay.
Yeah. So when you've torn out your driveway, Wendy, make sure that you deal with the tree roots at the same time that you're digging the trench for your sewer line, and before you put any surface down. Because there's a very good chance that they've grown under the driveway, so you want to get rid of them. Tree root removal is generally not terribly expensive, but it's not free. You're usually looking at somewhere, simple tree root removal is like $250. You can easily get into the $1,500 range, depending on the type of trees, the type of roots, the thickness of the roots, because what makes it difficult is it's very labor intensive and it takes a lot of work. And so that's one factor. The other factor when you're dealing with tree roots, Wendy, is you have to have someone that can look at the tree and say, if I remove these tree roots, what will it do to my tree? So ultimately, it may require a tree removal and then finding a replacement plant or tree, hopefully that's less root invasive and hopefully that's more drought tolerant, etc. So therefore their roots tend to be less invasive when they're more drought tolerant. So that's how I would look at that with the tree roots.
Okay. And then in terms of timeline, I know that when we were going over the driveway being demoed and then going through the sewage lines, you would recommend doing it same time as that, or?
Yeah, I mean, when I demo the driveway, once the driveway is demoed, then I'd start working on my tree roots and doing the sewer line. So just so the project doesn't take longer than what they can take by their own accord.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
I think, how you synchronize the process is really important.
Definitely.
You're going to end up with different trades doing these things. So your concrete contractor, very well maybe your landscape contractor for other work that you may do in the yard. It'll definitely be different than your tree root removal person, and it'll be very different than the plumber that will do the sewer line. So, how you organize those folks, the logistical planning is important. But it's simple for me. It's, you remove the driveway, the concrete, then you can start on the roots and you can start on the sewer line. The moment you get your roots and sewer line, I know that Wendy had asked about, sprinkler systems.
Yeah.
Today we're trying to go toward drip systems. So those are much more easy to install because they're surface installs generally. I would also do that work before I basically get into any of my finish work. And again, your landscaper would most likely do your sprinkler systems.
And then she had also sent us, so in photo number 3, she wanted to figure out, she has this area right next to the driveway, and it currently has a grass setup on it, and trying to figure out what you would recommend them do in that particular area.
Well, okay, now we're into the landscape area, and the landscape area is not only the grass area, but then she has the planter area that's kind of adjacent to the home that she wants to redo also. So I think there you want to come up with a theme, a design intent of how you want it to look. And again, this is also can be very budget focused, because you could take some of the plants that exist there, more the green plants, and keep them. And then I saw some rose bushes and things like that. If that's the aesthetic that she wants to maintain, that would be fine, potentially fine to leave them or relocate them. But you want to come up with a plan that ties the grassy area and the landscaped area together. And you also want to focus on what's the functionality. What do you want that grassy area? Do you want it to be functional or just aesthetically pleasing? If you're going to a more drought-tolerant stuff, and I think she mentioned in her email to you that she wanted, grass that would not require a lot of watering, there are a lot of ornamental grasses, drought-tolerant grasses that you could use, and that are different heights, and that you could tie into the landscape that's against the house. That's one option, and there, that's a fairly inexpensive option. You probably could do this whole area for $1,000 or less. Then again, you could do and again, if you want true non-water, you could do like a beautiful artificial turf. Sometimes people want that because they have a dog or their neighbor dogs are always on their yard.
Yeah.
And there's always short-term and long-term evidence of that fact. And we won't go any further than that. But so again, for Wendy, it's a matter of what's the use intent of that grassy area. If it's just for aesthetics, then she could go with, drought-tolerant grasses, and then simply make sure you tie those into the landscape in around the house.
Awesome.
And then the last item,
Yeah,
I
there
think
was one more here. So it was the area where
Next
it
to
was
the house.
So you have a large portion of grass over there, and then again, just trying to figure out what we would recommend them do in that particular area.
Again, it's always driven by the budget. So I know I'm not someone that just has that unlimited checkbook. So everybody, I think, has some limits on their checkbook. So you decide what you want in terms of what you have to spend and what you want to spend, as I said earlier. Landscaping, to me, it can make a house. It's the first impression. So whether you're going to live there for 2 years, 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, it's the first impression you see when you pull up in front of your home. It's the first impression that your friends or guests see. It's the first impression that the neighborhood realtor sees and when he wants to get the listing on your home. So it's, I think it's a very important investment, and it really requires some thought as to what you want to accomplish. If she wants to replant that area, she could spend as much as, you could go as high as probably $8,000 to totally replant it and et cetera. And that would include doing some lighting in the landscape area, which always makes sense.
Oh, absolutely.
And then, if she wants to use some of the plants and do less, you could probably get away with $2,000 to $2,500. So I think the first thing is to talk to someone who has experience and knowledge in these areas and have them work with Wendy to develop a plan. Mm-hmm. We kind of talked about the mechanics. We tried to give some ideas on cost, but they're very variable. And I think if she establishes with some professional to, design and define what she wants, that she could really tighten up the budget and tighten up the plan and really end up with a really beautiful result.
Definitely.
Yeah. Plan it all up front, even if you only do part of it at a time. You can finish the driveway and the sewer line and the tree roots and not change anything else if you don't have the money to do it and wait on that. But do it right. Whatever you do, just do it right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's like playing a game of Tetris.
There you go.
Gotta get it all matched up.
That's right.
Absolutely. Hi guys, thanks so much for watching. If you would be interested in having your property featured in a video quite like this, feel free to reach out to us either over email or on Facebook or Instagram. Again, thank you so much, Wendy, for submitting these photos to us and asking for our take. If we can be of any further assistance to you, please feel free to reach out.